The physics didn't add up. The mathematics made no sense. And yet, there it was, a golf ball doing something that should have been completely impossible. Jeeno Thitikul stood over a shot that had veteran professionals shaking their heads before she even swung. The lie was disastrous. The angle was absurd. The distance? Forget about it. Seasoned commentators were already discussing her next option, assuming this hole was essentially over. But here's the thing about Jeeno Thitikul: she doesn't play by the rules of what's supposed to be possible. At just 20 years old, this Thai sensation has already rewritten the record books, shattered expectations, and made believers out of doubters. But what she was about to do on this particular hole? It defied every principle of golf that's been established over centuries of the sport tournament. Officials watched in stunned silence. Fellow competitors stopped their own play to witness what was unfolding. The gallery held a collective breath that seemed to last forever. And when Gino made contact with that ball, something extraordinary happened. Something that slow-motion replays still can't fully explain. Something that has swing coaches, physics professors, and PGA veterans scratching their heads in complete bewilderment. The ball curved in ways that shouldn't be aerodynamically possible. It defied wind patterns. It ignored gravity like it had personal beef with Isaac Newton. And when it finally came to rest, chaos. Absolute pandemonium. Cameras couldn't capture all the reactions fast enough. Social media exploded within seconds. Golf analysts were frantically rewinding footage, trying to understand what their eyes had just witnessed. This wasn't just an incredible shot. This was a moment that separated Jeeno Thitikul from every other golfer on the planet. This was her announcing to the world that she's not just another talented player, she's something entirely different. But before I break down exactly what happened, and why even professionals can't explain it, smash that subscribe button right now and hit the bell icon, because you're about to witness golf content that will blow your mind every single week. To understand the magnitude of what Jeeno Thitikul accomplished, you need to understand who she is and how she got to this moment. Born in Thailand, Gino wasn't handed anything. She clawed her way up through junior golf with a ferocity that made people take notice. While other young golfers were still figuring out their swings, Gino was already displaying a maturity and shot-making ability that seemed decades beyond her age. By 14, she was already turning heads. By 16, she was making professionals nervous. Her rise through the ranks wasn't just about talent, though. She has that in abundance. It was about an almost supernatural ability to execute under pressure. Time and time again, when the moment seemed too big, when the shot seemed too difficult, when logic said to play it safe, Gino would do something that made absolutely no sense on paper, but worked perfectly in reality. That's her signature. That's what separates her from the pack. This particular shot happened during a crucial tournament, where Gino was already making waves. She'd been playing exceptional golf, the kind that has sponsors taking notice and competitors feeling the pressure. But golf is a cruel game. It doesn't care about your momentum or your confidence. It will humble you the moment you think you figured it out. And on this hole, golf presented Gino with a challenge that seemed specifically designed to break her spirit. The ball had landed in a position that can only be described as a nightmare scenario. Tucked behind obstacles, sitting on an uneven lie, with virtually no clear path to the green. The smart path of play that 99% of professional golfers would make was to chip out sideways. Take your medicine and try to salvage the hole with a good recovery. But Jeeno Thitikul isn't 99% of golfers. She's the 1% that looks at impossible situations and sees opportunity. Her caddy walked up to assess the situation, and you could see the concern on his face. He started discussing the safe play, mapping out how they could minimize damage. But Gino was staring at the green with an intensity that made it clear she wasn't interested in minimizing damage. She was going for the flag. Her caddy's expression changed from concern to disbelief. They had a conversation that onlookers desperately wished they could hear. Hand gestures flew, heads shook. And then finally, her caddy stepped back with a look that said, "Okay, but this is insane." The club selection alone made professionals watching on television sit up straighter. It was aggressive beyond reason. The kind of choice that either makes you a hero or gets you roasted in every golf publication for the next month. But here's what makes Gino special: she commits. Once she makes a decision, there's zero hesitation, zero doubt. She visualizes the shot, trusts her ability, and executes with a confidence that's almost intimidating to witness as she set up over the ball. Experienced golf analysts were already explaining why this shot couldn't work. The trajectory needed was too steep. The spin required was too extreme. The margin for error was non-existent. One commentator literally said, "If she pulls this off, I'll eat my hat on live television." Spoiler alert, he should have started looking for some hot sauce. The backswing was pure artistry. Smooth, controlled, perfectly balanced, despite the awkward stance required by the terrain. You could see her entire body coiling with potential energy, every muscle fiber engaged and ready to unleash. And then came the downswing, explosive, precise, technically flawless. The contact sound was crisp, that beautiful click that tells you immediately something special just happened. But nothing could have prepared anyone for what that ball did next. It launched into the air at an angle that seemed to violate the laws of physics. The initial trajectory was already confusing people, but then it started to move. Not a gentle fade or draw, this ball was dancing through the air like it was performing a choreographed routine. It climbed higher than the club should have been able to produce. It curved in multiple directions, seemingly making mid-flight decisions about its own path. Golf professionals, watching from around the world, started texting each other immediately. "Are you seeing this? How's that ball moving like that? What kind of spin did she put on it?" The questions were coming faster than answers because honestly, nobody had answers. Swing coaches who've spent decades studying ball flight were stumped. Physics professors who understand spin rates and aerodynamics were confused. This ball was essentially giving the middle finger to everything we thought we knew about golf. The ball cleared obstacles. It had no business clearing. It maintained height when it should have been descending. And then, as it approached the green, it did something that made absolutely no sense. It seemed to accelerate. Not slow down like a normal golf ball would, but actually pick up speed. Multiple camera angles captured this phenomenon. And slow-motion replay only made it more confusing because you could see the ball rotating in ways that defy conventional spin dynamics when it landed on the green, so the sound was perfect. That soft thud of a ball with the right amount of spin hitting at the optimal angle. But the show wasn't over. The ball took one bounce, a perfect bounce that killed exactly the right amount of speed. Then a second bounce, each one bringing it closer to the hole. The crowd was losing their collective mind. People were screaming, jumping, grabbing strangers next to them. The volume was building with each inch that ball traveled toward the cup, and then it happened. The ball rolled right up to the edge of the hole, seemed to pause for a dramatic moment that felt like an eternity, and dropped in birdie. From a lie that should have resulted in bogey at best. Gino had made birdie with a shot that would be replayed millions of times across every platform imaginable. The camera immediately cut to Gino's face. And what you saw there was interesting. Not wild celebration. Not shock. Just a small smile and a nod, like she knew exactly what was going to happen all along. That confidence, that absolute belief in her ability to execute the impossible, that's what makes her terrifying to compete against. While everyone else was losing their minds over what had just occurred, Gino was already thinking about the next hole. But the golf world went absolutely berserk. Social media platforms crashed under the weight of people sharing the clip. Golf legends who rarely comment on anything were posting their reactions. Phil Mickelson, known for his own miraculous short game, tweeted, "I've hit some crazy shots in my career, but I genuinely don't understand how she did that." Annika Sorenstam called it one of the most impressive shots she'd seen in women's golf history. Rory McIlroy shared the video with a simple caption, "Unreal." The tournament officials had to review the footage because some people were convinced it was camera trickery or that there was some explanation that made sense. But after reviewing from every angle available, they confirmed what everyone said was just an impossibly good golf shot executed by an impossibly talented golfer. No tricks, No special effects. Just pure skill operating at a level that pushes the boundaries of what we thought was humanly possible. Golf. Digest immediately commissioned an article where they brought in physicists, aerodynamics experts, and swing analysts to break down the shot. Their conclusion, after hours of analysis and computer modeling, they could partially explain some elements, but the complete picture didn't add up. One physicist stated, based on the club's speed, launch angle, and spin rate we measured, that ball should not have done what it did. There are variables we're missing or phenomena we don't fully understand. Translation, even science threw up its hands. What makes this shot even more remarkable is the context. This wasn't a casual round with nothing on the line. This was tournament pressure, with rankings at stake, with prize money on the line, with the weight of expectations from an entire country watching. Thailand has produced many excellent golfers, but Gino represents something special, generational talent that comes along once in a lifetime. The pressure to perform, to validate the hype, to prove she belongs among the elite would crush most people. But Gino, she thrives in it. Her composure under pressure has become legendary. While other players show visible signs of stress-tight swings, rushed routines, nervous energy, Jeeno maintains an almost zen-like calm. Sports psychologists have studied her demeanor, trying to understand how someone so young possesses such mental fortitude. Her secret? She's revealed in interviews that she visualizes every shot multiple times before executing, playing out different scenarios in her mind until she finds the one that feels right. By the time she actually swings, she's already hit that shot successfully dozens of times in her imagination. This miracle shot also represents something bigger in women's golf. For too long, the women's game has been undervalued and underappreciated despite showcasing incredible talent and shot-making ability. Players like Gino are changing that narrative. They're forcing the world to pay attention, to recognize that women's golf isn't a lesser version of the men's game meant spectacular in its own right. With athletes who can execute shots that leave everyone stunned regardless of gender, the commercial impact of this shot was immediate. Gino's social media following exploded overnight. Sponsors who were on the fence about investing in women's golf suddenly found their checkbooks. Young girls across Asia watched that shot and decided they wanted to play golf. That's the power of moments like these. They transcend sport and become cultural, phenomena that inspire entire generations. What's perhaps most exciting is that Gino is just getting started. At 20 years old, she's already accomplished what many golfers never achieve in full careers. But if this shot proved anything, it's that we haven't seen her ceiling yet. She's still developing, still learning, still adding tools to an already impressive arsenal. The scariest part for her competitors? She's going to get better. The technical analysis of her swing has become required viewing in golf academies worldwide. Coaches are breaking down her mechanics, trying to understand how she generates such power and control. The secret seems to be a combination of perfect sequencing, incredible flexibility, and an almost supernatural sense of timing. But knowing the components doesn't mean you can replicate them. It's like knowing the ingredients of a master chef's recipe might have the same elements, but the execution is what creates magic. This shot will be remembered as a defining moment in Jeeno Thitikul's career. Years from now, when she's won multiple majors and cemented her legacy as one of the all-time greats, people will look back at this moment as the shot that announced her arrival on the biggest stage. It was her "I belong here" moment, her declaration that she's not intimidated by pressure or impossible situations. It was the moment she showed the world that limitations are just suggestions, and greatness finds a way to exceed them.